Lullaby by Leslie Marmon, Silko. Leslie Marmon Silko is a Native American writer of the Laguna Pueblo tribe. She was born in New Mexico and was raised on the Laguna Pueblo Reservation. She is widely acclaimed for her novel Ceremony and also for her poetry and short story collections Laguna Women Poems, Western Stories, Storyteller, and Young Woman and the Beauty of the Spirit. Silko was part of a new generation of Native American writers emerged in the 1970s, which was termed as Native American Renaissance. She contributed immensely in re-establishing and revitalizing Native American tradition. Her works are always a fusion of cosmopolitan and tribal perspective. Lullaby first appeared in Storyteller, which was published in 1981, a book in which Silko interweaves autobiographical reminiscences, short stories, poetry, and photographs of her family. Silko attempts to reproduce the effect of oral storytelling in a written English form. She is also concerned with the transformative power of storytelling in the lives of her characters and the role of storytelling in maintaining cultural traditions and intergenerational ties, particularly in a matrilineal line from grandmother to granddaughter. Moving on to the characters, Aya is the main character of the story. She has been married to Chato for 40 years. They have had 5 children, only 3 of them survived past infancy. Aya is a Navajo and speaks only Navajo, unlike her husband who also speaks English and Spanish. Aya has lived through historical and cultural changes but manages to retain Navajo identity. Aya has had a hard life. The loss of all her children, constant poverty, an ill husband, and an unwanted reliance on the US government. Yet she looks back on her life with a sense of peace. She is presented as a strong and a very powerful Navajo woman. Chato is Aya's husband. He is capable of speaking English and works all of his life at a ranch owned by a white man. However, he is fired, which causes him a sense of helplessness. Chato and Aya are contrasting figures. Chato seems to be confused and helpless, but Aya is presented as a very powerful Navajo woman. His personality is very clear from the lines, "It is too late now. You signed the paper." His voice was gentle. Anyway, Chato dies at the end of the story. Aya had 5 children, but only 3 survived past infancy. The first one, Jimmy, was Aya's first born child. He died in a helicopter crash in a war. Ella and Danny, 2 of the other children, were taken away by the white doctors. They later visit Aya but are turned into strangers speaking English, which Aya does not understand. Aya internalizes this grief and Silko says she carried the pain in her belly. Lullaby is written in the structure of an oral story. It weaves past memories and present occurrences through a series of associations rather than in a set chronological order. The story begins with Aya, an old Native American woman, leaning against a tree near a stream, reminiscing some of the most tragic events of her life. She was an old woman, and her life had become memories. The story slowly moves into the first flashback. Aya remembers her mother and the old woman who had helped her give birth to her first child, Jimmy. She also recalls the time when the white man came to her door to announce that Jimmy had died in a helicopter crash in the war. As Aya didn't know English, her husband Chato had to translate the tragic news to her. The second flashback is about her 2 young children, Ella and Danny. White doctors came to her house trying to get her to sign some piece of paper. As she did not know English and could not read, she signed the paper simply out of fear and in hope that they would go away. After she signed it, however, they attempted to take her children, but she resisted. The doctors chased her at first, but gave up and left. When the doctors came back next day with policemen, Chato spoke to them and then explained to her that the paper she had signed gave them permission to take the children away. Their grandmother had died of tuberculosis, and they claimed the children had contracted it as well. After this, Aya blamed Chato for the loss of the children because he had taught her how to sign her name. This created a rift in their relationship and they began to sleep apart. Coming back to the present, Aya goes in search of Chato to Assis bar, and the people there stares at her. Then Aya recalls a time the children were brought to visit. They could no longer even speak to their mother in her own language, and Ella, who was taken away as an infant, did not seem to recognize her. She also remembers when years later the white rancher said Chato was too old to work anymore and threatened to evict them. At present, Aya finds Chato walking along the road. They stop to rest. He lies down in the snow, and she realizes that he is dying. She begins to sing a lullaby her grandmother had sung when she was little, and she sang the only song she knew how to sing for babies. She could not remember if she had ever sung it to her children, but she knew that her grandmother had sung it and her mother had sung it. The earth is your mother, she holds you. The sky is your father, he protects you. Sleep, sleep. Rainbow is your sister, she loves you. The winds are your brothers, they sing to you. Sleep, sleep. We are together always, we are together always. There never was a time when this was not so. Here ends the story, Lullaby. Thank you.